And of course here and almost everywhere he's going at the moment, he's winning things, and he's even been at the World Cup events. So he has a huge amount of experience to bring to this team.
He was second in Rio last year, and in Salt Lake City on the Hyundai Archery World Cup circuit this year, he was shooting so well, and he should have made a medal match. And he had a misfire of his release aid in the quarterfinals. I think it was the quarterfinals, and that sank that ship, and it was such a shame. He was sitting there on the line with his head in his hand because he was shooting so well,
yes.
so well.
Yeah, but I think that's and we're talking about we're not talking about para competition here. We're talking about the able-bodied World Cup, and I think it's really great to see these guys being so competitive on a world stage. And there are not many sports, I think, where the para archers or the para athletes go out there and really compete. And I know that there's been some discussions around people like Johnny Peacock and whether or not they could ever get fast enough to beat Usain Bolt, those hypothetical things. But within archery, we have those kinds of arguments and questions and queries going on as well.
There's just absolutely no reason why someone like Simonelli couldn't win a World Cup stage. He has the ability and he has the scores.
And in using the wheelchair, that levels the playing field more to the able-bodied athletes. So this is what we're talking about, is that level playing field again.
Zara Namati, who competed in the Olympics and Paralympics in Rio last year, she continued a long line of archers who have competed across the two games.
Yes.
One of the first was Neroli Fairhall
from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yes, and she's in the Paralympic Hall of Fame and did a huge amount to inspire athletes and archers across the world. And I think, in an awful lot of countries like Britain, for example, they have very, very few specific power competitions. If archers want to compete, they just go out and compete with everybody else.
And do you think that's a good thing?
Oh, I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's good for the para archery side of the sport, but it's good for archery generally. It shows it's a sport for all.
So we were talking about that choice of first or second. Iran were ranked fourth in this competition, Italy second, and would have had the choice to open up, but they've deferred.
Gives them a little bit more time to prepare.
It's a yellow card for Iran there because there wasn't a signal from the second archer clear enough, so the third couldn't start his shot routine, and he kind of jumped the gun a little bit.
Yes, and a little bit of nerves. Sometimes, you're really keen to get your first arrow out, and it's easily done. I've done it once. You do it once, you never do it again.
How were your team after that?
Yeah, it was. I always shot third, so I was the last archer. So it was all on me to make up the time. If the clock rang down and it was me who caused it, it was me who had to shoot in 10 seconds.
27 points from Iran for their first three.
I remember doing it and only having something like 8 seconds on the clock to shoot the arrow, and I shot a 10, which I was so pleased with. But there was an element of panic.
You thanked your lucky stars after that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gianpaolo Cancelli. – 10 points, first 10 of the Italian team there.
It's a solid 10. They've called it a 9-star. To me, it looked like a 10. A little bit of a breeze picked up.
Not the right time for that to be coming here.
No.
close to this first end for Iran. Could be 55 points, could be 56 points, or could be 57 points.
Simon Ali always looks so stable, so strong. And I think they always use him to go first because, just like I was saying earlier, he's the guy with all that experience that he can say, I didn't go in the 10 because I didn't shoot it there, or it didn't go in the 10 because actually the wind is a little bit strong and we need to move our sight or aim off a little bit.
Well, the Italian team were doing well there, but Cancelli put in a 7 on the left, and that'll bring their total down to 55. That's 3 points, over half their points lost in the first end gone in 1 arrow. It's amazing how quick things can change.
It certainly is.
So we'll leave those scores up on the screen for you because we've got 2 stars on the Iranian side. It's either going to be a draw here or an Iranian advantage.
Those Italian fans are really getting quite loud.
So one of the 2 arrows upgraded on the Iranian target faces. 56 points out of a possible 60 for Iran, 55 out of a possible 60 for Italy, and a 1-point advantage for the number 4 seeds over the number 2 seeds here in this gold medal match at Beijing 2017.
Well, 1 point can easily be overtaken, as we've seen in earlier matches today.
I think each of our matches this morning have started with the apart from the Russians in the first.
Yes, they've the team that started stronger has flagged a little later in the match. So
Simonelli starting us off again.
Very stable archer. And a 10. I think they went in the same hole as the last arrow he shot. I think he rushed that a little.
Cancelli put in a 7 with his last arrow.
But he needs to forget about that and just concentrate on shooting this the best he can.
1 point better, still an 8, still in the red.
Just like for any compound archer, of course, there's a big choice in release aids on the market, and that can be a difference in a match. You know, when you're a little bit more tense, if you happen to shoot a back tension release ordinarily, then sometimes, you know, you might find that you don't perform to your best when you're put under pressure. So there's a lot of practice needs to be done to make sure that you're shooting the right piece of equipment for you. That's the same for everybody.
10 to Iran there, expanding their lead to 2. Talk about staying for everyone. Iran has emerged as somewhat of a talented compound team in all forms of archery. The Iranian compound men are the World Archery Champions from 2015 in Copenhagen in able-bodied and open competition.
I think traditionally we saw more recurves, and I think it's a relatively recent thing that they've started training with compounds, but they've just shown a real skill for it. I'm not certain who their coach is, but he's doing a great job.
it's difficult for us sometimes to understand what's going on in a country when there's such a language barrier. But rumours have it there's something like 30,000 archers in Iran these days.
Wow. That's a big archery population.
54 points for Iran in the second end. Yeah, it's huge. Got a big pool of talent to pick from if there's that many. Archery is, of course, one of the 4 sports mentioned in the Quran.
And that's something I didn't know. You know, they say you learn something new every day. Do you know the other 3?
Fencing is one, I believe horse riding is one, and I can't remember the last one. Sorry.
That's okay.
Another 2 points then put on Iran's lead in the second end, up to 112 to 109.
Of course, there are a lot of countries that have historical archery, I suppose, you know, because it was used in wars so many years ago. But that hasn't translated, I don't think, always into modern archery. You know, there are some countries where archery, I think, has been popular right the way through. Britain is a really good example, where you had longbowmen and there were still people practicing archery all the way through until now. But I think there are some other countries where it's just, I don't know, just not happened. You know, once they went over to a different kind of projectile weapon for war, then bows just disappeared.
I come from a little town called Reading, and there's an area in the very centre called the Butts, next to a church called St Mary's, so St Mary's Butts, and it was called the Butts because every Sunday that was where the archery targets were lined up, where young men were legally obliged to practice their archery on Sundays from 10 till 12, I believe, for hundreds of years, and it's kept that name. And I went back a couple of months ago and had a little wander around. I had to see the relatives, and some kind young human being has graffitied some archery targets on some of the horrible walls that were on the edge, and I thought that was awesome.
Of course, I come from Wales, so we always claim that that we were the best archers in Britain.
Italy, who deferred the opportunity to shoot first at the start of this match, now shooting first as the trailing team, 3 points down on Iran. Simonelli has been awesome since his first arrow lasted in the 9. It's 4 consecutive 10s.
A 9. I haven't felt that his that's a good shot, but I really haven't felt that his timing in this final has looked the way that he did in qualification.
I can see on my screen how long each of the archers are taking, and both Simonelli and Bonaccini are taking about 16 seconds a shot. Cancelli is up to about 20, 21.
And I think in the qualification round he didn't take as long on each arrow. But you know, if you're a little bit nervous and a little bit just shaking a tiny bit, it's much harder to aim. Although a little bit of adrenaline makes your eyesight better and your reflexes quicker. So a little bit's helpful, a little bit too much is not.
Nice 10 there.
That's the hardest thing for some of the archers, is the fact that you know you're on the stage, everyone's looking at you, crowd is shouting, and they're not normal circumstances in which you shoot.
It's a big jump from the all one line shooting at targets, isn't it? It's quite
It
a
is.
quite a large mental hill to overcome.
Yes, it's almost like you need to learn how to shoot archery in two ways. You need to be the consistent person who's calm, who just quietly goes through qualification, making sure every shot is perfect. And although every shot needs to be perfect on the finals field, you need to do it with distractions. So there's the difference between the two things.
That's the best 6-arrow end so far from Italy. 58 points of a possible 60.
It's a good score, 58. Very good score.
Potential 2-point advantage after this 18th arrow from Iran. Barney. Sealing that 2-point advantage, and he's happy about it.
Well, they've managed to close the gap a tiny bit. One end to go.
Iran have been consistent, 2 ends of 56 and 1 of 57 in that most recent 6-arrow series. Italy 54, a 55 to begin with, and a 58. Their best of this match too. How much, when you're shooting against another team, are you worrying about where the scores are at?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because I think it varies from match to match. Always your focus has to be on making sure that every arrow that you shoot is a really good arrow. But if you have, perhaps it's yourself or one other of your teammates who's maybe put in a poor arrow or put in a really good arrow, then it's about supporting each other through this. So sometimes if the scores are behind, you might try and just gee each other up a little bit, say, come on, we can do this, just to focus you more tightly. Or other times you might be a long way ahead and you might say, it's okay, we just need to keep it all together and keep shooting them in the middle and everything's going to be fine. So it's all about that communication between the team members. So yes, you're looking at the other team, but it's always about what you do at the end of the day.
Italy starting this fourth and final end of this gold medal match with 2-point deficits.
I knew that was going to go in the 10. It was just perfect. That's really close to the line, but I think it's out.
Looks just out. It's not been given a star by our spotter. Cancelli has been the weaker of the 3 Italian archers in this final match, so a 10 from him will go a long way.
His last 3 arrows have been a 10, a 9 and a 10, so I think he's restored his confidence after an early wobble. An 8, that's going to make the match a lot tighter.
So Iran now and Biabani need a 10 to keep it level after coming into this fourth end with a 2-point advantage. That's changed the dynamic of this contest completely.
A 9.
So now it's Italy shooting first and a point ahead with 3 arrows to go.
It's what I was saying about that determination and focus and geeing up your teammates. It's always about supporting. Oh, another great shot from Simonelli.
Simonelli has been the star of this Italian team. He is the world record holder for the qualification round individually as well. And that's 7 tens out of 8 arrows.
Oh, fantastic shot.
And here's Italy. That's a 10. Cancelli has sealed the win.
Fantastic. Fantastic shooting from Italy.
Completely swapped this around.
And they worked so hard for it. They really did.
So we've got 3 more arrows from Iran, but they won't matter at all.
No, they can't catch up. And if they but knew, they could just relax and maybe shoot 3 tens.
They're 1 off. That's disappointing. The Iranian team. Italy showing some serious mental fortitude.
Yes.
What a way to finish there.
Yes. Fantastic. And I think the thing is they knew when they put in that 9-8-9 that the match was lost if Italy put in those 3 tens. And so then they just relaxed and got 10-10-10 themselves. Fantastic for Italy. Absolutely fantastic. They really shot well.
Italy cheering. They started trailing. At half-time they were 3 points down on Iran, but in the back half Italy found the middle off the back of Simonelli saying strong with his 10s and Cancelli overcoming a difficult start to this gold medal match in Beijing, winning gold, winning a world champion title in the compound men open team event, 226 points to 225 in this Beijing arena.
Italians still out there celebrating. Absolutely well-deserved win, but I can tell you from having been in that situation in a team round myself that you support your teammates through it, and you just try and keep it together and focus and encourage each other to shoot every arrow as well as you can. Sometimes you'd be up at full draw and you have one of your teammates saying it's okay, nice strong shot. It's all you need to really bring out the best in you. I sometimes think you shoot your best arrows for a team because you care about the people that you shoot with, and it gives you a little extra motivation than just shooting for yourself.